Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is another episode of the world famous, the University of Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is supposed to be Tuesday's broadcast, but I will tell you this right now. Apparently, I didn't know this, but the Amazon Amazon has a lot of servers. I've learned. I think I knew that, and a lot of their servers were down. And one of the servers, of course, was the good old Anchor app, And I was trying to upload yesterday, and I said, boy, this ain't working, huh? And so I said, we'll just do two for Wednesday, We'll double up Wednesday. One to come out Wednesday morning, one to come out Wednesday evening. So, have no fear. But for this morning, this podcast, we are going to talk about adaptability. How well do you adapt? How well do you like to make changes? Because sometimes you have to make changes. Sometimes some changes might be temporary, some changes might be permanent. But sometimes, like the wind, you might have to go in a different direction. And the reason why I bring up change is because Monday night, I saw I saw the highlights, but I read that the Buffalo Bills are playing the New England Patriots, and they was playing in Buffalo, New York. And if you've never been to Buffalo, then you're missing out. Okay, Buffalo's a pretty nice little city. If it wasn't so cold, you know what I mean? Buffalo might be a destination spot, but for my bones, for my wife's bones, yeah, Buffalo. Woo, it's cold. They got nice people though. They got real nice people and stuff like that. But man, it gets cold up there. But anyway, so they had a football game, and the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour. So just imagine that. And so the New England Patriots, coached by the great Bill Belichick, he decided he was going to run the ball. And they ran the ball 46 times. They threw the ball 3 times. If you ever watch a football game these days, that's the complete opposite of what normally happens. And so they ran the ball 46 times and got 226 yards. And they won the game 14-10. And, I'm sure they had other plans, but once you see the high winds, the wind blowing, the poles gusting, and like even on their touchdown, they went, instead of them kicking the extra point, they went for 2, and they got the 2-point conversion. So that's something, because they probably was playing against the wind. So but anyway, it just goes to show you that sometimes you need to make adjustments, and it's not a bad thing if you have a plan. We talk about mapping out plans and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, of course, have a plan, have it mapped out. But I'll give you a great example. When I first started, now about July, June or July, I said, okay, I'm gonna start my YouTube channel. My wife's gonna have a baby and blah 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 blah. I don't know why I was thinking, in my mind, I'm like, all right, we're gonna start the YouTube channel, and my wife had to deliver the baby 3 weeks early, and she got sick, and a lot of different things happened, and I kept trying to run downstairs, and the baby was asleep. Like, okay, I could do a YouTube episode, but it was not working. It was not sharp. It was. I filmed a couple, but it was no good, and I said, you know what, we're just going to have to pivot. We're just going to have to put that on pause, and we're going to have to stick with the podcast. And even the podcast, I had to adapt for the first couple of months when the baby was around, because, my wife was basically in pain and discomfort for the first month that we had our baby, And so it took her a good, month, 2 months to really heal up, fully heal and stuff like that. So I had to really take over and do more, more things with the baby, and that's fine. But I had to adapt, and so I said, I had to, we had to go do the podcast a couple of days a week. I had to put the YouTube on the back burner, and I'm like, all right, but we're gonna get back. So we adapted, we changed a little bit, and it didn't hurt. It didn't affect it didn't affect things any. We still got the show out, and we move on from there. And now we're back to the 5 days a week. And it's I think the shows we are coming around the mountain as far as the show, as far as doing the podcast and making it good. Now we just gotta adapt, start doing interviews, start doing this, start doing that, getting it out there more and more and more. But that's adapting. And you might have plans. Let's say you want to do YouTube videos. Let's say you're like, I'm gonna be a full-time YouTuber. But what if writing is your thing and you don't know it? Then you adapt. You say, okay, maybe I won't be a YouTube star, but I'll be a writing god. Okay, and so you adapt. And you make plans to write. You chart a new course, and adapting is it's a good thing. And I give you another example when it comes to sports. And this is why you should always be, have a schedule, schedule, but be open to adapt some things, pick some things up, I don't know if you remember, kids, but the New York Giants played the Buffalo Bills in 1990. I'm gonna age myself. 1991, I believe, was the 1990. One of the two. You can look it up. But Buffalo Bills were the first off. That had to be 1991 because San Francisco 49ers were my favorite team back then. They won in 1988. They won in 1989. Was it 80? Yeah, 88, 89. And they was coming back for the 1990. They was trying to three-peat, and they played the Giants in the NFC Championship game. And I remember they knocked Joe Montana out, and that was the last time, basically, Joe Montana was the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. They moved on from him, and they went to Steve Young, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get back to the game. But the Giants beat the 49ers. Then they played Buffalo. Buffalo had a high-powered offense. They would start doing this thing called the K-gun, and they were scoring like 40 points a game, and it was crazy to watch. And so they played the Giants, and everybody thought the Buffalo Bills were going to just roll over the Giants because the Giants had the Giants had their backup quarterback in the game, Jeff Hostetler. Okay, Phil Simmons got hurt. Jeff Hostetler took over, and he started in the Super Bowl. And what the Giants did was they adapted. Instead of them saying, they said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to let the running back for the Buffalo Bills, Thurman Thomas, get his 100 yards. And so they let him run, but they shut down the receivers. They slowed down the game. I remember the Giants had like 8-minute drives, 9-minute drives. They mucked up the game, made it ugly. It was 20-19, something like that, when Buffalo normally was scoring 40 points. And so it was like 20-19, and the New York Giants won the game because they adapted. They implemented a great game plan, a defensive game plan. Who was part of that defensive game plan? Bill Belichick. My man knows how to adapt. He knows how to, get with the times. And so being flexible, being able to adapt in your business will help you tenfold. The one thing you do not want to do is, it's like a basketball coach or a football coach, whatever kind of coach. And let's say you go to it's like going to a team. You go to a team and they have a roster, and you look at the roster and you go, well, I coach this way, but the guys that you have on the team, they don't suit that style of play. What you should do is adapt to them, adapt to your personnel. The more you're able to adapt to your personnel when you're coaching, the better off you will be. The more you're able to adapt in your business, let's say you live let's say you want to do content let's say you want to do a podcast, but you live in an area where there's a train coming every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna adapt? Are you gonna go say, well, let me go buy a microphone? You know, are you gonna be one of these people that say, I gotta record right here, right now? You know, because if you think like that, then it won't work. I remember one of the best decisions I ever made was I was recording, and I said, at first I said I can't record because I'm always in the truck, and then I said, I ain't got no choice, you know. If we want to get this party started, then we have to start recording from the truck. And I bought a microphone, and we started recording from the truck, and it got better, and it got better, and it got better, you know. And now we record from, you know, home. We record in the car, the truck, you know. Doesn't matter where we record from. We record an episode, you know. And the sound quality is pretty good. But I will say this: if you want to record and drive down the street at the same time, you know, if you want to hook up because you can hook up a microphone to your shirt, and you can sort of drive and record. If you want to do that to create content, do not buy a condenser microphone, ladies and gentlemen. A condenser microphone is a very sensitive microphone, and it will make a lot of noise when you're driving, when you're doing whatever. If you have a condenser microphone, you have to be very, very careful. You have to be very careful because you will pick up a lot of static. You will pick up a lot of noise, all right? But that's just a little tip from me to you. But you have to have the ability to adapt, you know. If you live in a house full of people that's always making noise and you're like, how can I do YouTube? You know, maybe you should start writing blog posts, you know. These are the things that you can do to adapt. And so, you know, in your business, always be flexible. Always, you know, adapt. You know, be willing to adapt. Now, I'm not saying you have to bend over backwards for anybody or do this or do that or do a whole 360. But, you know, if something comes along and you're like, I should do that, I can adapt. You know, then do that. Adapt. You know, be sure you're adaptable, especially in the beginning. You know, once you're established, you know, I'm sure Walmart ain't like if Starbucks calls Walmart and be like, you need us, and Walmart's like, no, we really don't need you. So, you know, get out of here. We don't have to adapt. We don't have to adapt. We don't have to be flexible. We don't have to work with you. You know, we don't have to do any of that. But, you know, in the beginning stages, you know, if like me, I'm a copywriter. Let's say I have a client and they say, hey, I like to get started early in the mornings. Then I will adapt my schedule to get started early in the mornings. You know why? Because I need all the business I can get, you know. Eventually, I'm going to say, no client work, please. But in the beginning, I'll take any client I can, you know what I mean? So you will adapt. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the podcast. We will be back later on with an all-new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.